What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Tuesday, December 29th NBA live stream. I'm your host, Ben Osler. I'm joined by James. James, this is our first live stream together. You can go ahead and tell the chat what you want them to address you as. I don't know if you want to go by James or whatever you want to go by. You can let the chat know because you are a new
Yeah,
face.
James is fine. Rube is fine. I'll answer to either. If you guys are in the Discord with us, I'm in there as Rube. So get all your questions in. Let's rock.
Yeah, you can start dropping your questions now if you have any questions on the slate. We're gonna stick to the usual format. We'll talk about each position. We'll kind of go over injuries here at the beginning. So this is like we had a couple days of fine in NBA, and yesterday we got right back to just the craziness with the injuries, taking it all the way up to lock. Bigger names are out. Karl Anthony Towns is out. Kevin Love is out. Cavs actually have quite a few people out, but namely Kevin Love, Towns out, which we'll kind of talk about at the forward center position. Kawhi Leonard, we don't know if he's going to play or not, so that's one that we're kind of waiting on. Jimmy Butler looks like he's not going to play for the Heat, which opens up some value on Fanduel, but someone like Tyler Hero was actually appropriately priced on DraftKings, so not someone that we're just jamming in. And then you have Al Horford was ruled out, and George Hill is questionable, so we're kind of waiting on Hill. Do you think Hill's going to play? I kind of think he is not going to play.
Yeah, I think Hill's going to be ruled out. But we did see the situation with LeBron yesterday. I was over in Discord telling people that I was starting to get worried that LeBron was going to play. I thought it was like 90-10 for him to sit earlier in the day, and then I slowly, as they didn't rule him out right away, I kind of figured he was going to play after not playing the fourth quarter the day before. So I don't know. They have no reason to push George Hill. I mean, they want to keep those two veterans, Hill and Horford, healthy so that they could try to move them at the deadline. So I think he sits.
Yeah. Bales and I were talking about LeBron on the stream yesterday, and I know like for a while, I don't know, like the lines in NBA are kind of hard to read sometimes Vegas wise, but we got to lock and the Lakers were still like 3.5 point favorites, and I was like, I'm pretty sure LeBron's gonna play. So that was an interesting situation. But those are kind of the bigger ones. Larry Markin is questionable. We both think he's going to play, so we'll wait and see on that one. But we both think he plays. So other than that, is there any injuries I missed? I don't.
No,
Think
I
so.
do think Kawhi plays. I think
Yeah, because
he
it was
toughs it
just like
out.
he cut his mouth, right? It wasn't like
Yeah,
something crazy.
yeah, he got 8 stitches, but I think he's going to be okay. I think he toughs it out, especially after the embarrassing thrashing that they took the other day. So
I love that you're kind of got the no lights thing going on with me. Bales comes in with
yeah,
with
so
the
I just
brightest
noticed
lights
that.
possible.
Yeah, it got dark right when we went live, and then I didn't change it because I know you're rocking with no lights too.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It'll just gradually get more dark as the stream goes
yeah,
on, but none of this
perfect.
this bright light Bales in here. All right,
Yeah,
we'll get into the plays. We do have a question from Sierra Man. Anthony would love that Sierra Man is in the NBA chat because he's a longtime football watcher. But he asked about favorite center on FanDuel. We will cover that when we get to the position. But off the top of your head, who is your favorite center at FanDuel?
so for me, there's really two options, and I am way more FanDuel focused tonight. I was kind of telling Ben that, and we're definitely going to be talking about FanDuel today on this stream. For me, it's two options on FanDuel. I really like Mitchell Robinson, and I really like Thomas Bryant. I think that deciphering between the two is tough, and I kind of would make that decision based on how many Knicks I have in my lineup. I don't want to be too overexposed to them, and I am slightly worried about the Mitchell Robinson foul trouble against Drummond. So I would lean Thomas Bryant right now, but I have no problem with Mitchell Robinson either. But those are my two favorite guys.
Yeah, I think that's good analysis. Someone also asked where my chain is. I only break that out for special occasions, but
Man, if you guys missed the Christmas show and Ben's fit, I mean, you really missed the doozy.
if we keep doing NBA like we have been, maybe I'll buy a new one and I'll wear it on the stream a little bit more.
Love
But
it.
all right, point guard. Two big names at the top of point guard: Steph Curry and Russell Westbrook. Westbrook, I wrote up in my building blocks article. I think he is a stone cold lock on DraftKings under 10K. Curry, I think, is probably a little bit better play on Fanduel where he's cheaper than Russ. So I really like those two. I think you probably want one of those two guys in your lineup tonight, at least for cash games. And then you have Ben Simmons at 89, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 81. How are you breaking down the top of point guard? Is there one that you prefer over the other?
Yeah, I agree with your analysis on the Russ Steph situation. On DK, I would prefer Russell Westbrook. And if anyone knows me, I never recommend playing Russell Westbrook. So you have to know he's in a really good spot if I'm telling you to play him. But just with the bonuses and him and Curry being the same price, he kind of stands out there. Then Curry on FanDuel is a great play. One guy that I'm really targeting that's point guard only on DraftKings and shooting guard on FanDuel is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I know we both love him. Horford's already ruled out tonight, which opens up some usage. And then if George Hill was out as well, I mean, we could see 38 to 40 minutes from Shai in a pretty good matchup against Orlando. It is a neutral pace spot, not a pace up spot like we would hope, but I still think he'll be able to get there in this matchup.
Yeah, I played SGA on one of my tournament teams last night, even in the tough matchup against Utah. I'm completely fine with him. I think that like right around that 8K, like he's probably, what would you say, he's closer to a 9K player, I think, this season, right? So you're still kind of getting him at a discount.
Yeah, I actually don't think we're going to see Shai's price increase as much as it should, as quickly as it should. So, I mean, he's a guy that I'm going to keep playing. I'm extremely bullish on his outlook and his future. And if you're into card trading at all, I would invest in some Shai rookie cards.
Yeah, and Bales and I talked about it yesterday. So last year, like I played SGA a lot last year, but he was super scoring dependent, right? Playing alongside Chris Paul, and they had Schroeder and all those guys. It was a little bit different this year. We saw in that first game, he didn't even shoot the ball very well, but still had 46 DraftKings points. So I'm not worried about the back-to-back because even if his shot isn't falling, he probably still can have a pretty big game. Mr. Perkins asked about Wiseman. Yeah, I mean, Wiseman definitely gets a little bit bigger bump with Marquise Chrisser, but DraftKings was so aggressive with his price tag. Like right after that opening night, they jacked him up, and you're just not getting him at any discount. I don't know. It's kind of tough to play him on DK.
For me with Wiseman, he is the same price as he was the other day when he was chalk on FanDuel, but we saw that they did not close with Wiseman. They closed with Looney. So it really kind of caps his upside if they're willing to roll Looney out there to close out a close game. And they even played Damian Lee. They didn't go like two big guys. So I think Wiseman is kind of out of my player pool today just because I really like those two other guys I mentioned earlier on FanDuel.
Yep, I agree. Anthony's in the chat. I can't believe he's watching this, but he said it's rough.
Hey, Anthony's crushing NBA so far. He had the Galaxy Brain play last night to play Morant and Joe Val together with the Nets guys, and he got his overtime, and unfortunately Morant got hurt. But I mean Anthony's crushing it so far.
Yeah, I don't really know. Sam and I joke with Anthony a lot. Like, we don't know how he wins. Like, he just makes the most random teams, but crushes this consistently. So, no shock to me. Mid-tier point guard, De'Aaron Fox is 76 on DraftKings. You have, like, Brogdon, Jamal Murray, Colin Sexton, Lonzo Ball, Kobe White. I guess Fultz, 61. Your favorite Eric Bledsoe is 5,900. And then
I'm self-excluding from Bledsoe for a 2-week period.
Yeah.
2 weeks self-excluding from Eric Bledsoe.
I agree with that. And then we'll go down to Elfrid Payton is 5,500 on DraftKings. So the mid-tier, you and I were kind of talking about the Knicks before we got in here. They are really shorthanded at guard tonight, with Burks looking unlikely to play as well. So I do think Elfrid Payton is interesting at 5,500. I think Kobe White's a great play in tournaments in that game. I really like that game a lot against the Wizards. And Sexton, I don't know, man. He scores a lot, but it's tough to pay 7K for him when there's some other plays. Like Brogdon is a little bit more than Sexton. I would rather play Brogdon, I think, in tournaments.
Yeah, for me, I think De'Aaron Fox is a pretty appealing play. People will be off him after he got into foul trouble last game, but he's going to play 34 minutes tonight as long as he stays out of foul trouble in a pretty good matchup with Denver. Before we go any further, I do think Denver is a situation that we need to monitor. They are on a back-to-back. So I could see someone like Paul Millsap or even Will Barton. I could see both of them potentially sitting tonight. So that is a situation to monitor. I do really like those two mid-range guys that you talked about. Kobe White, Bales wrote him up in his article. I was on him before Bales wrote him up, and now I am really on him after Bales agrees with me that White is a very, very good GPP play tonight. I really like White over on Fanduel where he's under 6K, and then Elfrid Payton. I mean, they just have no one else who can play the point guard unless they're going to trust Frank Ntilikina with ball handling duties without Burke and without the three other guys that they were also missing last game. Elf is going to have to play significant minutes. I'm a little bit worried that they just run some more like RJ ball handling and Julius point forward stuff and don't really extend Peyton, but at his price, I still think he's a good investment. 5,500 on DK, and he's 4,800 over on FanDuel. He's a very strong play over on FanDuel. He's about as low as I would go on FanDuel today.
Yeah, Anthony said he put Kobe White in his placeholder lineup, so that could be good things. Longtime watcher Jack asked Garland versus Elfrid Payton defense. I do prefer Garland to Sexton if I was going to play one of the Cavs guys, I think.
Yeah, I do like Sexland a lot. Anthony was touting them before in the chat. I mean, anytime Anthony could talk about the Cavs, he's going to. But yeah, I definitely like them. They're more on my tournament radar. There is one Cav that I really like that we'll get to later that I think is a very strong play on both sides. But they're kind of tournament only for me. I feel like Garland and Sexton. I don't know if you feel a little bit differently.
No, I agree with you. I think they're strong, like maybe not strong, but good tournament plays. Not sure if I'll have any of them. I don't play enough lineups, I think, to get to them. Our NFL analyst Matt said, "Let's win some GPP so you and I can turn some lights on in our homes." I mean, we don't need lights, man. We're just gonna buy more chains. We don't need lights.
We need the gold chains to sparkle in the darkness. That's
exactly. That's exactly right. Well, do you have any value plays that you like at guard before we move on? Well, point guard, namely.
I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but if George Hill gets ruled out, Theo Maledon and Hamidou Diallo, they will turn into interesting plays, which on a macro level, we kind of were getting into it. The value under 4K is kind of rough. You got to play some pretty ugly guys. So I don't, especially with a lot of spend ups today. I mean, you got to get some ugly guys in your lineup if you really want to play them. So I think that they become interesting and some very strong value plays if Hill is ruled out. Anyone else you're thinking of and comments on those Thunder guys?
No, would definitely be interested in the Thunder guys if Hill's ruled out, which we both think he is, but that could be a good late swap. Well, actually, what time is that game?
For the Thunder game?
Yeah.
Let me pull it up.
I don't even remember.
I got it right here. Let me see. The Thunder play, they're an 8:00 game. So they're after that initial wave. But
yeah. So
they're
maybe
the one
a good late
game
swap
that's in the middle there. Yeah.
I guess you could consider Jeff Teague if you want to go back to that. I know he was awful on Christmas Day, but he is still cheap.
No, thank you. No, thank you for me on Jeff Teague.
Yeah, not someone I would play in cash.
Self-excluding as well for 2 weeks from Jeff Teague.
Yeah. Anthony asked if Theo is a lock to hit 18 to 21 points if Hill is out.
Yes, I would like him to hit 18 to 21 if Hill is out.
I think 20 is probably what you would expect, maybe if he's out.
Yep. Yeah, I think Theo is very strong and low owned if Hill gets ruled out, especially if Hill gets ruled out after lock.
Yeah, someone also just brought up Dante Exum, who I kind of joked with you as maybe a play. It is weird that Jetty Osman didn't start the second half, but I would assume Jetty Osman starts tonight. That game, like if we get the Cavs lineup and Exum is in, like I would be pretty surprised about that. Do you agree with that? Like I don't see why he would start today, but I guess he could.
Yeah, I agree. I think Osman is starting. So if we got Exum starting, it would make him interesting.
Yeah.
We will know that before lock, which is
Yeah,
good.
that's an
So
early game, so we'll know that
yeah,
one.
that's an early game.
All
Yep.
right, we'll move to shooting guard. There is some crossover here, obviously, with the multi-positional plays on DraftKings, but you have Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Paul George, Zach Levine, D'Angelo Russell, Jaylen Brown. So Bales and I always have this thing of if it's Levine or Levine. So how do you say it? Because we always have this
It
debate every year.
it is Zach Levine.
Yeah, I okay. So regardless, who do you like at shooting guard? I guess we'll include RJ Barrett in there as well. So RJ Barrett, I think, is a really good FanDuel play. I don't really want to pay 7,100 for him on DK.
Yeah, he's a
Um,
small forward. He's a small forward play actually over on FanDuel. So
okay,
not
perfect.
not shooting guard, which I think actually helps him because if he was shooting guard, I don't even think I would consider him.
Yeah, that's actually good that he's small forward there.
Yeah.
Do you like any of these high priced shooting guards? I think Paul George's probably the best play for me. Would obviously get a huge bump if Kawhi is out, but I think he is perfectly fine even if Kawhi plays against Minnesota.
Yeah, I think the two spend ups for me would be Paul George and Zach Levine. Levine in the great matchup against the Wizards. Uh, I do prefer George to him straight up. They need a bounce back spot here for the Clippers in a great matchup against the Timberwolves. I'm a little bit worried about a blowout in that game. The spread has moved to 10.5, but I still think that it's a spot that I want to be investing in with the Clippers having such a massive team total. I want to get exposure to that. Maybe they don't push Kawhi coming back from his mouth injury so quick. I don't know. But I really like Paul George. He is a very, very strong play on FanDuel. Just a sneak peek for you guys. I am locking Paul George and Shea into my lineups today over on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's probably like the nuts combo on
Yeah.
FanDuel for sure. I don't know. So you could play Kobe White here as well, who we talked about at point guard. But looking down towards the mid tier, I don't. There's not really anyone I love in the mid tier. I think I would have to go all the way down. I think Lou Dort is interesting at 4,600. So you and I were kind of talking about this before. There's a real like obviously lack of value right now. So if like George Hill gets ruled out, that would open up value. I do think Dort is playable regardless at 4,600, but probably not someone that would like make my lineup if George Hill played. Um, and then like you were talking about PG, so PG on DraftKings is in the same tier as a lot of guys, even at other positions that we're probably only going to be able to get one of them with Westbrook. So where would you rank him relative to other guys at other positions? Because there's a lot of like it's like 75 to like $8,500 plays that we like today.
Yeah, I think because of that blowout risk I touched on a little bit, it knocks him down on the DraftKings pecking order for spend ups. I would put Russell Westbrook and Shea ahead of him, and then at least two power forwards ahead of him on my spend ups today. So he probably falls like fifth or sixth on the list, and I didn't even count Giannis in that, which is a whole discussion that we'll have to have later.
Yep, I agree. Okay, what about the mid tier and like value? Like who sticks out to you here? Is it similar to point guard? There's just not a lot going on.
Yeah, obviously a bunch of guys are multi-position. Theo Maldon, who we talked about, is shooting guard eligible, and so is Diallo. Other than those two, and they may not even open up. I don't know if this is the spot. One guy we could touch on here, he's small forward over on FanDuel, kind of like Barrett, but Tyler Hero stepping into a larger role today, bigger ball handling role without Jimmy Butler. He's been great when Butler's off the floor. He's 4,500 and small forward eligible over on FanDuel. FanDuel is asleep at the wheel again. No surprise there. He's a very strong play over on FanDuel. And he is in consideration for me on DraftKings, but I probably won't go there just because he's a little bit priced up.
Yeah, so before we move to small forward, say like no other like say George Hill plays and like no value opens up, or like we don't have Hill news before lock or whatever. Would Tyler Hero make your main lineup if you're going with a more like balanced build? Like would you have him in there?
I don't think so. to be honest. I really don't like Hero on DraftKings today. He has some upside, but he would be a strictly tournament play for me. And one value guy that I brought up to you before the show that, I mean, he definitely is not sexy, and I wouldn't love to go to it, but if we don't get any more Thunder news, it would be Reggie Bullock. I mean, they're super thin. Burks is going to be out. He's in the starting lineup, could approach 30 minutes. I think it's more likely he approaches the high 20s, but if we want to get these studs in, we gotta play someone down low, and Reggie's going to be on the floor. So he's not sexy by any means, but he can help you get the studs.
Yeah, if we get no other value opening up, I do think maybe even some ownership could get pushed towards Bullock if people want to try and get another guy in. But we'll move to small forward. Kawhi at 94, like we said, we don't know if he is confirmed going to play or not. Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum, Brandon Ingram, Chris Middleton, Jaylen Brown, RJ, like kind of some of the guys we'd already been talking about. I really like Jason Tatum today. I think I'm a little bit higher on him than you. 88 is definitely a tough pill to swallow on DraftKings with the lack of value, but I actually think this matchup with the Pacers is really interesting. They've been playing much faster than they have in years past under their new coach, and Tatum has been putting up solid games the last two, 36.5 against the Nets and 48 against the Pacers in their last game, and he hasn't been shooting the ball well. 9 for 22 and 2 games ago, and 9 for 21 in that first game against the Pacers. If he's able to hit almost 50 DraftKings points shooting 9 for 21 from the field, I would assume like a big game is going to come at some point when his shot's falling. And, you know, he had success against this team literally in their last game. So I actually really like Tatum. I just don't love the price.
So this is part of the reason that I kind of like Bullock, is because he has that small forward eligibility. And I think small forward's the toughest position to fill on DraftKings today. I mean, it's pretty ugly. Not a ton of really good value spots. I in my initial build, it actually had Andrew Wiggins, who played high 30s minutes against this Detroit team. So if we're playing Russ over Curry on DK, Wiggins could be a way for us to get Warriors exposure. I know it can be ugly, but his upside is undeniable for his current role if he decides to make a shot. The one guy that I wanted to touch on, and we kind of were talking about it, we both think Lauri Markkanen does play, but if we got news that Markkanen was out, I think Otto Porter steps into a big role today. He could potentially play 30 minutes, and if he's playing 30 minutes in this revenge spot against the Wizards, I think he's super interesting. He's a great FanDuel play over at 4.3K, even without the Lauri news. So I think Otto would be interesting. Is there anyone else that you really like at small forward? It's a real struggle for me at small forward on DK today.
It is rough. I don't love first of all, you said you had Wiggins. Wiggins is the same price as your boy Michael Porter Jr., so I'm shocked that you don't want to play. You don't play MPJ.
Listen, I do. I love MPJ. Everyone knows that. I don't know. His rotation scared me last night. They didn't go back to him in the second quarter fast enough for me. I was watching that game because I had him over on FanDuel. I had him and Jamal over on FanDuel, and he just didn't get back into the game quick enough for me, and I got a little worried about it. I don't know. They just hate him. They hate him. I don't understand why.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, it really doesn't make sense. And last night felt like the one thing I will say is that he gets super interesting if Will Barton and Millsap get ruled out. Then he's like a lock button play for me, and I may leave some room for late swap to get to him. That actually, you know what? That's an idea that I just thought of. The Warriors play at 7. That sucks. I would love if they were a late game tonight, and
then you could just swap Wiggins.
You could have the swap, but I don't think we're going to get that Nuggets news before lock, which sucks.
Yeah, it's so weird to me. Like, I feel like a lot of times they take him out because of defensively, but dating back to the bubble, the Nuggets are horrible defensively. It's not like they're some great defensive team, and he's really holding.
Yeah, we were discussing this in Discord yesterday because there were some people who thought the Nuggets were a tough defensive team. They're really not. I mean, Gary Harris has taken a massive step back over the last year and a half. Michael Porter Jr. is not great defensively. Jokic exerts so much effort on the offensive end that he's a liability defensively, and he gets really lazy on the defensive end as well. I don't know. There's nothing to be scared of with this Denver Nuggets defense as a team.
Yep, I agree. I don't know. I think Jetty Osman's kind of interesting. Not a huge value, but I think he's interesting if he starts. But that's really about it. I think Josh Jackson maybe. I know Rose and Blake are back, but I mean he at least will probably get on the floor.
He played great last night. He looked awesome, especially in the fourth quarter. He looked awesome.
All right, we can move to power forward. Hold on, someone's like spamming in chat.
Someone's spamming.
Yeah,
kick him out. Get him out.
Yeah,
are they roasting our
no,
darkness? Should I turn on the light?
No, they were spamming to hit them up for League Pass, so I timed them out.
Oh, of course.
Okay, all right. Power forward. We'll wrap things up here at power forward and center. I think that on. Oh,
there you go, chat. I turned on the light for you.
Oh my god.
The holiday spirit. The holiday spirit. Got to get the Christmas tree in the background.
All right.
It's for you, chat.
We have Giannis at 10-8, which is a interesting conversation to have on DraftKings and whether or not you can get him in there alongside Russ. Tatum, who we just talked about. Sabonis, who is one of my favorite players in the NBA, at 86. Randall at 82, who's a great play. Zion at 81, like loaded position here. And then you also have Naz Reid, who I wrote up in my article and I think is an absolute lock to play in cash with Karl-Anthony Towns out. So a lot going on at power forward. How are you attacking this position?
So I think this position is like you said, just filled with amazing plays. Naz Reid stands out as probably the best point per dollar value of the bunch. He's a great play over on Fanduel at 4.5K at power forward. A good play on DraftKings at 5.1. I'll probably play him in my core over on DK. Not as strong of a play, but there is one power forward eligible player on DraftKings, and he was small forward on FanDuel, so maybe should have touched on him there. But I love Larry Nance Jr. tonight. I just think with Love out, with Okoro out, I mean, they're asking him to play high 30s minutes. And anytime you could get Larry Nance in this matchup playing high 30s minutes, and I actually think he's going to go under owned on DraftKings relative to a bunch of other people at the position. I wish he had small forward eligibility on DK, because that would just be an awesome play. It's a little bit flooded with so many good power forward center plays. But Nance and Reed are probably the two best point per dollar guys for me. If I was spending up a little bit more, it would have to be the Zion Williamson, Julius Randle range for me. What do you think about those two guys, Ben?
I completely agree on Nance. I don't think anyone will own him on DK at his price and the fact that he doesn't have small forward. So if we get this situation where we don't get any more value opening up and we're running a balanced build, I think it would be really smart to put Larry Nance in your main lineup. But yeah, I was gonna ask you gun to head, Randall or Zion. Which one are you picking?
I asked you first.
Man, it's tough. I think Zion probably has a little bit, maybe like a little bit higher ceiling, maybe. I actually think I like Randall. Like if I was gonna strictly pick one, I think I might take Randall.
I've got the cop-out answer for you. I'm going Zion on DK and Randall on FanDuel. So there's the cop-out answer for you. I mean, Randall's 900 cheaper on FanDuel, so that makes him a little bit stronger value. And then Zion's the cheaper guy on DK. So I would be playing Zion on DK personally.
All right. What about this mid tier? Not much doing, I think. Baisley, I think, is definitely interesting. I don't know if he's really a cash game play at 5,800, but definitely interesting. I think he's a good tournament play. Kelly Oubre Jr., I don't want to play him. I just want to ask you what is going on with him, because I actually liked him, but I don't really know why he forgot how to shoot the basketball.
talk about a guy that has just absolutely flopped given the opportunity that he has. I don't know if you know this, but there was massive tax implications for them taking on Oubre's contract. He went from them taking on his like $18 million contract. They moved into a next tier of tax bracket. And so he is costing them basically like $86 million this year because they moved into that next tax bracket. So, I mean, Kelly Oubre, he can't hit water if he fell out of a boat. I mean, it's really bad. Like it kind of feels like he's got like the yips. Like
it's strange,
he just can't
man.
hit a shot. I can't touch him until I see something from him, and I don't think anyone else should. And I think he's going to be like relatively unowned, I would imagine, just for everyone opening a game log or anyone who's watched a game. But I would play Bazley over him every day of the week.
For sure. But Bazley's probably like the clear mid-tier play, I think on DraftKings.
Yeah.
Someone asked for fading Giannis. I definitely wouldn't fade Giannis, right? Like I would simply probably, if I don't play him in cash, I would just put him in my main tournament team. But I mean, unless we get some value opening up, I don't see how we can comfortably fit him into our cash game lineups on DraftKings. FanDuel's another story because it's kind of like the salary's different. There's always cheap guys. Like you can play whoever you want on FanDuel if you make a point to pretty much every night.
Yeah, I think the struggle I'm having on FanDuel at power forward is Nas is such a good play, so I'm kind of locking him in. And then I only have one other power forward spot for Randall, Zion, or Giannis, and that's kind of my pool. And there's some builds that I really like. One of them has Otto Porter Jr. I talked to you about before. So if Marketing was out, then I feel way stronger about that. But I don't know. I'm struggling to get Giannis in my FanDuel lineup. I just don't know if this is the best spot. And I kind of think Miami can't hang with the fully healthy Bucks without Jimmy. Am I wrong for thinking that? I know the spread doesn't reflect that. I think it was 5.5 the last time that I looked. But I could see Milwaukee kind of pulling away. I don't know. What do you think about that?
No, I agree. I definitely could see Milwaukee winning that one handily. Okay, Joseph.
I just want to know. I just want to know if I'm getting 31-minute Giannis or if I'm getting 36-minute Giannis, because
it's a huge difference.
It's a massive difference.
Huge difference. That's why for cash, I never worry about it because you're going for floor. But for tournaments, that is a massive, like that couple minutes is a big deal.
Yeah, I'd like to correlate him with some Miami guys on the other side if I was going to play him in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could go Harrow and then another guy, which we'll talk about at center in Bam Adebayo. But Joseph asked, worried about Reed going against Ibaka and Kawhi if he plays on switches. I don't know. I don't know if you do. I don't really weight individual matchups that heavily at all in NBA, just with the way that game is played today. It's so easy. Like it's just half the time they don't even end up going against them. And especially Reed, like he's a value play. It's not like we're spending up for him. He's been a per-minute guy. Like he's actually been over a per-minute guy. But when you take in the times that he started last year, he was around a point per minute. He put up around a point per minute in that last game where Cat missed. So I just don't worry about it typically, especially with value plays.
I'm not worried about it at all. They're a very poor rebounding team down low, and Nas should feast on the glass. If you guys don't know who Nas Reed is, or you've never watched him play, he's extremely athletic. He's a big motor guy, and those are the type of guys that we love in our fantasy lineups. Those guys are going to give us those hustle stats and whatnot. He's particularly good on that FanDuel scoring because he can provide a lot of steal block upside as well. So
we'll wrap it up at center here. Giannis is center.
No concerns with him today.
Giannis is center eligible on DK. Joker, I mean, dude, can we talk about Joker last night? I mean, like, what a performance, right?
Man, he's unreal. He's unreal. I watched every minute of that game, and he's going to have a special season, especially until JaMychal Green comes back, because they don't trust Hartenstein to play 20 minutes, and I don't blame them because he looks awful out there. So they have no one to play that backup five, and they're not willing to play Millsap at like a small ball five lineup. So until Jermichael Green comes back, Jokic is going to play this 36-minute role, and they run their entire offense through him. Yes, last night was a great matchup. They were throwing Wood and PJ Tucker at him, and there was nothing that they could do. But Jokic is just an extremely special player right now. He's almost at like James Harden range, where he should almost be 11K on FanDuel and approaching 11K on DraftKings. Like he is that good. He has that good of a role right now.
No, I agree with everything you said, and that was going to be my point. Before we get to the rest of center, so you already mentioned you think maybe Millsap could rest. You think maybe Barton could rest. Denver is on a back-to-back. So if the Kings stay in this game, we know Joker's going to play big minutes, and even coming off a 70 DK point game last night, I don't think he's going to feature much ownership. He already dropped 74.8 DraftKings points against this team this season. Why are we not more interested in him?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think for me, I think for me, it's just tough. Like,
it's position for sure. Like,
yeah,
it's literally what
it's definitely center position for sure. And just I feel so much more comfortable with Westbrook on DK, which is crazy to say, but just I don't know. You're right. Maybe we should just be playing Joker, and I probably should be playing him in a GPP today. I mean, I talked about him being a great GPP play the first time he played the Kings, and he came in at 3% owned. We're certainly not getting him at 3% owned tonight. I wish we were, but yeah, I don't know. I just think maybe it is the center eligibility with there being so many viable centers and power forwards and the guys with the multi-eligibility. I kind of feel the same way you do. And then straight up Giannis or Jokic today, if you had to pick one.
I mean, you would have to say Giannis and Cash, but in tournaments, give me Joker, man. I don't know. I kind of talk myself into him. I'm going to play some Jokic tonight, I think, for sure.
Hey, run it back with Fox. I think he's super underrated.
Yeah, it's like a perfect little correlation play.
Perfect storm right there. I agree.
Brian asked thoughts on double C in DraftKings Cash tonight. I don't know. I feel like I run double center like quite often. Yeah,
center is they've done this for years where they just undervalue centers all the time. They just don't value how consistent their rebounding is and stuff, and how easy they get fantasy points funneled to them. So yeah, I run a lot of double center as well. Or if I'm not running double center, I run a ton of 4-guard stuff is the only kind of alternative I make. If there's like a big guard player out and a big ball handling role is getting distributed to some cheaper guards.
Yeah. So talk about the rest of center here. We have Drummond. A bunch of the guys we talked at forward have center on DraftKings. You have Vooch, Bam Adebayo. And then you can go all the way down to, Plumlee, I think in the mids here, I think is interesting. But who do you like at like the other like stud options at center today?
Yeah, I mean, Drummond will be popular. He's been out of this freaking world to start the year. Him versus Mitchell Robinson down low will be a battle of the fouls. Who can stay out of foul trouble between those two today? And whoever stays out of foul trouble is gonna dominate that matchup. He's not a priority for me. He might be for others, but you mentioned a guy before that I think is going to be pretty popular today on DraftKings with no Jimmy Butler, and that's Bam Adebayo. He matches up defensively with Giannis. He's going to be out there for every Giannis minute. He's one of my picks for Defensive Player of the Year. I think I have a 10-1 Bam Defensive Player of the Year ticket. So I mean, he is awesome. He's a great play. I don't know. I agree with your Plumlee take. And then obviously we have Zion and Randall. If you could only have one of Bam, Zion, and Randall, and we'll throw Drummond in there as well, what would you go with? Like, what's your rankings of those four?
Oh man, I think
it's a brutal question.
That's super tough. I think I would put Drummond number one. Honestly,
would you? Yeah. See, I don't know. It's certainly tough. I think I probably prefer Zion more. Zion and Bam more, and then would be Drummond and then Randall fourth on DK. But I don't know.
I just don't I don't
It's
think
definitely
Drummond's gonna
tough.
be that high owned on DraftKings, which I like. He's kind of
Yeah,
in that
and
weird price range.
yeah, I think you could play Drummond and Randall together, like in tournaments, like as a little mini. I think if we're talking cash games, for me personally, it would be Bam and Zion. But
Yeah.
it's tough. It's definitely tough.
Yeah, and then we'll finish up with value. So to whoever, I think Brian who asked playing double center earlier, we're gonna have to play double center, I would assume, because we're playing Mike Muscala at 3,200.
Yeah, we definitely buried the lead there. I mean,
Yeah.
he's stone cold lock on DK, best value on the slate. Can't really get away from him. Even if he gets you 20, he's not going to kill you. And he might be in the winning lineup with 20 just because of the way this slate is shaping up with how bad the value is. So I will have Muscala today on DraftKings in basically all formats, and I think he's actually a pretty tough fade, but we'll see.
I agree. I'm dropping some frames. I don't know if the stream is lagging, but I think we pretty much covered the positions pretty well. You can go ahead and give me. Bales and I normally do one player that you need to include in your lineups tonight, and I'll say that we'll say Westbrook is off limits.
Okay. Westbrook is off limits. That's fine. For me, it would be Shai Gilgeous on both sites. SGA, I would put him as a priority spend on DraftKings and on Fanduel tonight. I probably wouldn't make a lineup without him.
All right. Last night I said Joker.
That worked out.
That worked out.
Hey, we also buried the lead on how you've been crushing it, man. I mean, your DK cores have been the nuts like the last two nights. I mean, you can't miss right now. So
Yeah,
a lot of pressure to keep it going.
I've had a good stretch here, and I might run it back and say Joker again. I'm gonna run it back. I'm gonna say Joker. I think he's gonna be
Do
high
it.
owned.
I mean, do it. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think if I could make a second one, because why not? It's got to be Larry Nance. I mean, Larry Nance could break the slate tonight in this matchup, especially if Drummond gets in any foul trouble or anything, and they play like if they match like a Randall small ball lineup at the 5 with like a Nance small ball lineup at the 5. How exciting does that matchup get? Them running back and forth.
Yeah, I love that call, man. And I really, if we don't get any value, I may force Nance into my DK lineup. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
All right, thank you guys for watching. A lot of questions today, so I appreciate that. We'll do these every day, Monday through Friday, I think, for the most part, this season. So, hopefully you guys stick around and watch most days. Obviously, they're free, so no reason not to watch. If you want access to our core plays, dfskarma.com/shop. You can buy a week and get into Discord and just try us out. You don't have to sign up for the whole season and lock yourself into a big payment. If you have any other questions, both of us will be in Discord. You can hit us up in there. I'm gonna go do my final thought sheet and get that posted. But good luck tonight, guys.
Good luck, guys.